Can Tottenham Hotspurs beat Arsenal to become king of the north, or will Jose Mourinho be shown the door? Hey everyone, it is Finn here, that is FYW, and I hope you guys are all doing super well, and welcome back to another Premier League Matchweek prediction video, where in this video I will be predicting every single fixture for Premier League Matchweek 35, and as the season is getting closer to the end, the race for a European spot and to escape relegation is getting tighter and tighter. So let's get into my predictions. And of course, if you do enjoy Premier League content and if you enjoy FIFA content, please do consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me out so much, and I do want to take YouTube more seriously. And you guys really can help me out by helping me reach 1,000 subscribers one day. So please do subscribe if you're not. And also, just one more thing, it is my friend The Dugout Football Channel's birthday today, and he also does Premier League predictions. So please go check out his channel and write Finn says hi in the comment section down below, just so that he has a better day. The first game I have for you guys is Norwich versus West Ham. Now, looking at both of these teams form-wise, I don't think that Norwich will get the win over West Ham, to be honest with you. I mean, they just lost 2-1 to the likes of Watford, which congratulations, Buendia, his first Premier League goal this season. But that's the problem with Norwich, in my opinion. There are so many really good individuals in that team throughout the entire pitch, but I don't think they work well to form a Premier League quality team. Now, if you look at the likes of West Ham, they just lost 1-0 to Burnley, but statistically, they weren't that bad. 19 shots throughout the game shows that they were definitely in it. I'm a huge fan of Fabianski on his day. He is a very, very good goalkeeper, and over 50% possession for West Ham shows that they really can control the game. But unfortunately, in my opinion, Burnley's defense has always just been too strong for some teams, so I don't put too much blame on West Ham. But you know what? This might shock a few people, but I'm going to give West Ham a huge 3-0 win over the likes of Norwich, purely because I don't find a lot of strength in Norwich's team. Even when they work together, they are a bit too weak for me. And you know what? Looking in the last 2-3 games for West Ham, I've really seen an ability to score from them. So let's see what happens. The second game of this match week is going to be between Watford and Newcastle. Now, looking at these two teams, I don't think Watford have had a good season at all. I doubt they would say they've had a good season. They've literally lost half their games this season, which I guess is kind of good considering they only had 1 or 2 wins by the halfway point of this Premier League season. But you know what, I do think it is almost time for Watford to get a new striker, because that is what they are missing, in my opinion. Maybe a new defender, but they definitely do need a top quality goal scorer. Now, looking at the likes of Newcastle, believe it or not, I am going to give Newcastle a 2-1 win in this fixture. Now, of course, it's not looking that promising for them, because they did lose 5-0 to Manchester City last night at the time of recording. But you know what, I don't, once again, put too much blame on the likes of Newcastle, because it's not at that era where we say, wow, a 5-0 loss. That is super embarrassing, because we are living in a time where if Liverpool or Manchester City get a 5-0 win, it's just what they do. It's just something that is very common nowadays. But you know what, at the end of the day, before this, Newcastle did draw to West Ham, who, of course, that was straight after their Chelsea win, so that was kind of promising for them. And recently, Newcastle have gotten huge wins over the likes of both Bournemouth and Sheffield United. So I don't totally scrap out Newcastle's chances. That is why I am going to give them a 2-1 win in this fixture, just because I find that quality overall is a lot stronger in Newcastle compared to what. Liverpool versus Burnley is next, and as I said, I do know a Liverpool fan who does Premier League predictions, the Dugout Football Channel. Check his channel in the eye thingy up above. But yes, Liverpool-Burnley, if you look at both of these teams' forms, well, if you look at the likes of Burnley first, 4 games unbeaten in the Premier League is very, very good. And as I've said many times before, Nick Pope can be an absolute monster between the posts for Burnley. But before this 4-game unbeaten run, they did lose 5-0 to Manchester City, which in my opinion does show the fact that they do struggle against teams with a seriously good attack with lots of pace behind them, which is why I'm going to have to give Liverpool the win in this, along with the fact that Liverpool can be absolutely amazing on their day, and I am going to have to give Liverpool a 3-0 win over the likes of Burnley. But you know what, anything can happen, because ever since Liverpool did win the title, they have started to relax a tiny bit more, which can be a bit worrisome. But at the end of the day, you know, they're title winners, they can do what they want.
What does that have to do with it?
No, he's got a point.
But you know what, as I've said, since they've won the title, they did lose 4-0 to Manchester City and only a small 2-0 over the likes of Aston Villa. But you know what, that game versus Brighton last night showed that they still can put a lot into their game, getting 2 goals within the first 8 minutes versus Brighton, and I do think that Liverpool will be pretty comfortable in this fixture. Sheffield United versus Chelsea is next. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the most unpredictable fixtures this match week, because looking at the likes of Sheffield United, when football did return, they showed how many hard fixtures and tough fixtures Sheffield United had ahead of them towards the end of the season. But you know what, since then, although they did lose against Manchester United, they have beaten the likes of Tottenham Hotspurs and beaten the likes of Wolves. But you know what, I can't see them doing it a third time versus the likes of Chelsea. But you know what, there is only one result between these two teams in this fixture earlier this season, and it was a 2-2. It was a draw. So you know what, genuinely anything can happen in this fixture, but I do think Chelsea will take a 1-0 win in this fixture. Although it is away, I just view Chelsea as the better team overall, obviously, and they have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games, so I just think that the favour is higher in Chelsea's favour. Brighton versus Manchester City. Now this is going to be a very obvious one for me, or at least you would assume, but I am going to give Manchester City an away 3-0 win. I say I assume, but at the end of the day, Manchester City is also the team to lose 1-0 to the likes of Southampton. But you know what, this has been a very unpredictable Premier League season, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the likes of Brighton. Although, as I've said many times before, lots of their players are improving form-wise, especially the likes of someone like Trossard. But you know what, they did concede 2 goals within the span of 2 minutes versus the likes of Liverpool, and I can't see it being that much different versus the likes of Manchester City. Therefore, I do think City will get the comfortable 3-0 win if Edison stays on his goal line, because to be honest, that's how Manchester City have lost so many games. Edison has just become too cocky between the posts, and he just pretends that he's an outfield player. A very exciting fixture is next in the likes of Wolverhampton Wanderers and Everton. Now, these teams have only played against each other 7 times in the last 10 years, and Wolves have only won 1 of those, which is very surprising to me. But you know, Wolves are looking like a very strong team lately. But lately, Wolves have lost to the likes of both Sheffield United and Arsenal, teams that I really actually expected a win from them. But before that, they were on an 8-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. And looking at the likes of Everton, as I said, this will be a very close fixture because Everton have won majority of the fixtures between these two teams. Everton have only got 1 less win than Wolves this Premier League season. They did lose to the likes of Spurs though recently, which you know it was actually a very close game. And before that, they did beat the likes of Leicester City. So you know what, literally anything can happen because both teams' forms are, you know, it's like a wave. It's just going up and down at the moment. This will be very unpredictable, but I am going to put forward a 3-2 prediction in Wolves' favour. I think it could potentially be a high-scoring game, but you know what, we'll see how it goes. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace is next. Now, in my opinion, I am going to have to go for Crystal Palace in this, and I will give Palace a 2-1 away win. This is purely based on form, in my opinion. If you look at the likes of Aston Villa, their form is so red. It was just casted as a balloon in an upcoming It movie. And if you look at the likes of Crystal Palace, they have lost their last 4 Premier League games, but in my opinion, they weren't the favourites in any of those 4 games. They were all very good teams, and I didn't expect a win from them. So you know what, this is a fixture where I do expect Crystal Palace to win, and they, in my opinion, have been very impressive this Premier League season. I think Ayew has been in great form. I've said that many times. Zaha just got an amazing goal versus the likes of Chelsea, and Benteke scored. You know, when that happens, that means something amazing is going on around the world. I mean, 2020, what an odd year. The next game is going to be Tottenham Hotspurs versus Arsenal, the North London derby. Now, this is surely going to be a good game, but to be 100% honest, both of these teams have heavily underperformed this season. You would assume both of these teams would fight for a Champions League or at least a European spot, but both teams this season are mid-table, which is very embarrassing from both teams. And in this fixture, I am going to predict Arsenal with a 2-1 win over Spurs, which, you know, it really sucks because I do like Spurs. I really do, and I don't like Arsenal, so this is very tough for me to put a prediction forward like this, but I do think Arsenal will win. They've just been in much better form lately this Premier League season, and you know what? Martinez is actually looking very good in goal now that Leno's injured, so you know what? I do think that Arsenal do have a serious chance. Goal scoring wise, I think that they really are starting to create more and more. So you know what? I'm not taking Arsenal out of this equation at all. Where if you look at the likes of Spurs, I would like to say, because it is such a big rivalry, that both these teams will really fight to the end. But you know what? This Jose Mourinho Spurs team isn't as exciting as it used to be. Jose Mourinho really isn't creating the sort of exciting football that you would expect. Therefore, I don't think that it will be that much of a fight, and I do think that Arsenal will get out of this with a win. Bournemouth versus Leicester is next. Now, I am recording this before Bournemouth versus Spurs, but at this current time of recording, in their last 4 games, Bournemouth have conceded 12 goals, which is so shocking. They're just not doing well defensively at all, and I can't see them changing that versus the likes of Leicester City. I can see Leicester City getting a pretty comfortable 3-1 win over the likes of Bournemouth. Because if you look at the likes of Leicester City, I mean, they drew versus the likes of Arsenal, which I'm a United fan. That really helps me out quite a lot. But you know what? Once again, I do think Leicester City will be fighting to keep a Champions League spot. I think they've got some great players in that team, and I do think they could potentially run circles around this Bournemouth defense. But looking at this fixture as a whole, it is a lot closer than you would expect. In their last 9 games between these two teams, Bournemouth have won 2, Leicester have won 2, and there have been 5 draws. So this fixture is a lot closer than some people would assume. Manchester United versus Southampton is next. Now, I know from personal experience, obviously always watching United as a United fan, that Southampton is the one team that Manchester United has always struggled against, no matter what their form is. Now, once again, this is recorded before Manchester United versus Aston Villa, so I don't know how that will turn out. But looking at Manchester United in this fixture, they have actually only won 4 out of their last 10 games versus Southampton. There have also been 4 draws, and Southampton have won 2. So you know what? Manchester United does have a record of struggling against Southampton, but I do think they obviously will get a win versus Southampton with their current form. I can see Manchester United getting a 2-0 win over the likes of Southampton. So yes, I still think that they will get a win, but I do think their momentum will slow down a tiny bit because they've been doing so well lately, and because they have got a record of struggling against Southampton. I do think they'll slow down a bit, but still get a pretty comfortable win overall. But who knows? Once again, anything can happen. Southampton is the team that just beat Manchester City. So you know what? 2020. What a year. So guys, that is it for my Premier League Match Week 35 predictions. Once again, if you did enjoy, please do subscribe to this channel. It does help me out so much, and follow Finn Kraus Football on Instagram. That also really does help me. And you know what, guys, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your days, and tell me what you predict for your teams in the comment section down below. But you know what, this has been Finn FYNN. There is a FIFA video and a video YouTube recommends for you. I do love every single one of you. Stay awesome, Finn FYNN. Cheers.